So as you guys know, I've been sober now from alcohol and marijuana for about 3 months. And the purpose of my sobriety was not because I was an addict or it was ruining my life or anything, but because I wanted to focus on my life, focus on my success and my work, and elevate my life as a whole, improve relationships, not wake up feeling shitty the next day, because I'll be honest with you, I don't even think I ever really liked marijuana. It was something I started through peer pressure. That's how I made friends. And honestly, like, it was there for me when I needed it, but I just used it as a crutch. Honestly, alcohol was my drug of choice. I love that two beer buzz, and then having to chase that buzz for the rest of the night, pretty much. I just love being buzzed, pretty much. But unfortunately, at the ripe age of 32, it was getting to the point where even after like 3 beers, I would feel so brain fogged for the next 3 days or so. So through Instagram, I discovered another woman who was sober, and she was speaking about her sobriety experience, and I totally related, and I commented something and she commented back. But in that video, she mentioned microdosing psilocybin. And it wasn't my first time being introduced to microdosing. I had heard of it before, and I had been curious about it. So I asked her, like, how could I start microdosing? Like, how can I get into this? And she was like, well, I can help you. So we ended up messaging each other, and she told me that she does this protocol with women, and she has a business and a website, and she could get me some psilocybin through a connect that she had. And it kind of went from there. We planned everything. I ordered my dose, and we went from there. So now I've been microdosing for 1 month. 5 days on, Monday through Friday, 2 days off on the weekends. And I wanted to tell you guys about my experience. Now, the woman who I was in contact with, her website will be linked down below. It's called Rooted Again. She only works with women, but her husband works with men. So if this is something you're interested in, feel free to reach out to her. Now, I just want to give a disclaimer. I'm not allowed to recommend microdosing, but you can look at my experience and take this as an educational video and or an entertainment video if you're curious about what it's like to microdose, pretty much. And wait till the end. You'll see if I want to continue my microdosing journey or if I can do without it. So wait until the end and you'll see ultimately what I've decided to do going forward in my life, and if I think it's worth it to continue it. Welcome to Treu Sovereignty, where we're mastering our minds so we can reclaim our peace. On this channel, we're intertwining self-improvement with critical thinking, because you can't have one without the other. In order to understand a complex world and have your own thoughts about it, you need to understand your complex self. So let's get into the video. So the biggest reason I wanted to start microdosing is not to get high, not to have this alternative way of numbing my emotions yet again like I was with alcohol and marijuana. The reason I wanted to try microdosing was the same reason I quit alcohol and marijuana. And that was to have focus and a better mood. I have ADHD, and when you have ADHD, your brain is like this all the time. It's like being overstimulated constantly. Your mind is constantly running, and marijuana helped me slow that process down a little bit. And so did alcohol as well. Although alcohol just numbed everything for me. ADHD also makes it difficult to just enjoy life as it is, unfortunately. It's harder to produce dopamine. People with ADHD need like constant stimulation in order to feel some semblance of being okay. But I knew I had to quit alcohol and marijuana when I started to feel abnormal sober and started to feel more normal when I was under the influence of something. And that kind of scared me. It was almost like I was numb and gray when I was sober, and I was colorful and bright when I was under the influence. And I didn't like that. I did not like that at all. So when I quit both substances, there was a period of numb and gray, of course. But then after a few weeks, I started to feel normal again. My brain fog was pretty much gone. My dopamine receptors were working normally again, and my dopamine was coming back. And I really began to enjoy my sobriety. But as someone with ADHD, that didn't go away just because I stopped using substances. It was still affecting me. When I was a kid, I took a drug called Concerta to concentrate in school, and it was awful. It turned me into a zombie. It turned me into a mute child. I literally stopped speaking. I literally stopped talking to everybody, and I don't know why my parents weren't concerned. I lost so much weight because it took away my appetite completely. So I was weak because I wasn't eating and tired. I was losing nutrients because I wasn't eating. I was able to focus on school, thank God. But I lost all my friends because I stopped talking. I became an outcast, a loner. You know, I was the kid that was sitting alone at the lunch table every day. Yeah, it just made me like antisocial. It was so weird. And I would tell my mom these things. And I was on that shit from 7 years old to 18 years old. I made a video before where I said I never felt like I was heard. And this is one of those moments where I just didn't feel like I was heard. And my mom was militant about me taking this medicine. Well, I'm just going to call it a drug because it's not medicine. It's a drug. My mom was militant about me taking this drug to the point where I would actually get in trouble and punished if I pretended to take it but actually didn't. She was so terrified that I would start to fail in school if I didn't take it. My mom's very neurotic, so, I mean, that's not surprising. Sometimes I wasn't able to swallow the pill for whatever reason, because I was 7 years old. But sometimes I was unable to swallow it, and my dad would get so mad he tried to shove it down my throat. Like, that would help. Yeah. I was very traumatized by that fucking pill, and I was on it from 7 to 18. As soon as I turned 18, I said, no more. It's my body. I do not want to take this. And guess what happened? I went to college and I got straight A's for the first time ever. I was never great in school, mostly because of math. But for the first time ever, not being on Concerta, I finally got straight A's. Pretty wild if you ask me. In college, nonetheless. And I felt like me again. Oh my God, the color came back to my life. I was able to eat like a normal fucking human being. I had an appetite. Never had an appetite on that drug. Never. So, after all, that being said, I was looking for a substance, I don't know what you'd call it, something to lift my mood, lift my motivation, brighten up my life, and help me focus. And kind of work beyond my burnout. I know that sounds really horrible to want to work beyond burnout, but it's true. I wanted more of a capacity to work longer and harder. When I started researching psilocybin, of course I was skeptical, so I did a lot of research. And I just decided, why not? It had said like it was great for depression. Like people with clinical depression reported very positive effects from it. So I was like, this could kind of help. I don't have clinical depression, so it's like it could lift me up and at the same time help me focus and possibly not give me those horrible, horrible side effects that Concerta gave me. So I ultimately decided to try it. I also wanted to mention that Concerta totally took away my creativity. I had always been a painter, a drawer, an artist, and that went out the window. And then as soon as I got off Concerta, I became a painter. To this day, I really want to paint again, but the only painting I really like is oil, and that's so messy and such a fucking process, and I don't have the space for it right now, but that would be my dream, honestly, to like do so well with YouTube and some other endeavors and then be like a painter and sell my paintings. That would be so amazing. Anyway, so I also heard psilocybin helped with creativity as well. So that was another plus. So what was my experience? Well, I'll start with week 1. I was incredibly terrified to take my first dose because I'm very sensitive to drugs. Despite the fact that I did them for a while, I would green out very easily and get panic attacks with marijuana. I was a heavyweight with alcohol, but when I first started drinking, I was a lightweight. I'm also very small. I'm only 5'1", so I'm a very small woman. So your typical amount, although I can drink like a man at this point, the typical amount of drugs is just too much for me. Like your average human's dose for drugs is just too much for me, typically. So I always have to start low. So I started at 100 milligrams. And I took my first dose with my mentor, Brittany. And my first dose was, I'm going to say almost a nothing burger, you know, like I could feel a little bit of lightness, a little bit of brightness in the eyes and the color. And then I just remember I actually came to this trail and went for a walk after my call with my mentor. And then, like, I couldn't really feel it too much, even on the walk. But then I remember I went to the grocery store, and have you ever just had one of those good days where it's like, I don't know, maybe you went to the gym, and it's a warm spring day, perfect weather, and you're just doing all your favorite things, and you just feel like you're in such a bright, great mood, like you want to talk to everybody, you feel confident. That's how I felt. And I hadn't felt like that in a long time. I kind of blame the cold, horrible weather here. It kind of keeps me inside. And my injury, I can't really go to the gym, although I've been going to the gym a little bit. But then, back then, a month ago, I was not. So I hadn't felt that in a long, long time. And that was kind of the moment I was like, this is gonna be good, you know? I texted her, I said, oh my God, I just had like a really good day, even though it was a really like Like, logistically, it was a basic day. I just went for a walk and then I went to the grocery store. But honestly, it was like one of the best days I had had in a while at that point. So the first week as a whole was me trying to figure out the best way to dose. I recommend eating 2 hours before dosing and then not eating until 2 hours after dosing. That's what worked for me. And it has nothing to do with nausea. I never experienced nausea or stomach pains or anything like that. Some people do, but I didn't. Now, I have a very strong stomach, so if you have a sensitive stomach, you might. But my mentor told me she has a sensitive stomach, and she recommends not taking it on an empty stomach. And I agree with her. For me, when I tried taking it on an empty stomach and then eating an hour after I took it, I felt high. It was not fun. So I never did that again. I made sure to eat a little something 2 hours before taking it, take it. So I would eat at 8 a.m., take it at 10 a.m., and then I wouldn't eat again until around 12:30, 1 o'clock for lunch. And that was just perfection for me. That really worked for me. So the first week was just getting used to how it made me feel, right? Because you're going from total sobriety. At that point, I had been sober for 2 months. So I was just at this point of being used to being totally sober all the time. So you go from being totally stone cold sober to feeling a slight shift. And that's really all it is. It's a slight shift. But it's a slight shift upward, right? And you notice it enough where you anticipate it coming on and you anticipate what you're about to feel because you're just not used to it yet. But I could still work. I could still do my normal tasks. It wasn't distracting or anything. It wasn't like I was stoned and I was like, ooh. I could definitely work. I could drive. It wasn't anything major. Like I said, it was only a slight shift. Now, the second week, it was more running in the background. It was like a new software program had been downloaded into a computer. And at first, it was kind of running in the foreground. And in the second week, and the third week, and the fourth week, it started running in the background. So instead of all these pop-ups and all these windows coming up, like it did in the first week, it was just running in the background. You couldn't see anything. So what were the effects exactly? So the whole dose takes about 2.5 hours to fully kick in. Now, don't get me wrong, about 20-30 minutes after you put it in your mouth and swallow it, you do feel something, right? You start to feel lighter. Like if you have brain fog or a heavy mind or a monkey mind, whatever they call it, the monkey brain where it just doesn't shut the fuck up, you will start to feel a lightness, like something lifts off of you. And I definitely felt that, especially the first day I took it. I was like, whoa, like, it feels like your mind has like a house cleaner came into your mind and vacuumed up all the dust. That's what it feels like. It feels like there's no more dust. There's no more noise. There's no more like something heavy pushing down on your brain. It lifts. And it's clear, and it's clean. Now, at the 2.5 hour mark, I typically would eat something, and that actually seemed to ignite the dose. Like, the eating ignited the dose to perfection. And what does that mean? It means, like, for me personally, I felt fuzzy and warm inside, almost like deeply fulfilled. definitely like the first few times I took it, it was definitely like this fuzzy buzzy feeling in your body, but like a feel-good fuzzy buzzy feeling. Like you feel very warm, you feel like you want to hug everybody, you feel very creative, you feel like very focused, like you could work for hours, even on something that you don't want to work on, just because you're feeling good, you're feeling nice. I noticed I became chattier, so when I would call my mom or my friends, I would just be like yapping like fucking crazy. And yeah, just overall uplifted, motivated, more energy, more color in my life. Yes, colors are definitely brighter. Overall, just like it adds color to your life. It felt like the puzzle pieces in my life and in my mind were being connected. Like life made more sense, even when bad things started happening, like when I lost my job. I could more easily shift my mindset from, oh no, this is bad, to it's gonna be okay, and you're gonna be okay. It gives me a better outlook on life overall. Now, I just also want to mention that even though you're taking this dose, even if you're taking a dose, it's not magic medicine that makes all your problems go away. You still have to take care of yourself, go to the gym, eat properly. For me, throughout this journey, I discovered I was dehydrated and that I wasn't drinking enough water at all. So on my last week, when I finally started to actually drink more water, now I drink, I don't know, like 120 ounces of water a day. I make sure that I do that. It has enhanced my experience even further. So my 4th week dosing was my best week because I finally fucking started drinking water. So you have to make sure you're still physically taking care of yourself, mentally taking care of yourself, doing meditation, doing your shadow work, just continuing doing the things that you would normally do to take care of yourself, or else your dose might go to waste. You know, I don't think my doses went to waste necessarily because I was dehydrated. I still felt that great feeling. But I noticed that when I wasn't taking my dose, I was still a little bit brain foggy, and I was kind of hoping that the effects would last when I wasn't dosing, like on the weekends. And I was like, what the fuck's going on? So I started drinking water, and that helped. So yes, do the effects last even when you're not taking the dose? Yes, a little bit. You don't feel that bam pow of energy and excitement and fulfillment like when you're taking the dose, but you still feel clear-headed, you still feel clarity, you still have more energy, no brain fog, as long as you're drinking water. But this is why I say, make sure you're still taking care of yourself, because you really want your dose. You really want to make sure you're giving the dose its best opportunity to give you what you need. And if you're just eating junk food and sitting on your couch and talking to yourself badly and not drinking enough water or drinking alcohol, the dose might not give you what you're looking for. So give it the best chance that it can have and take care of yourself. I kind of look at these mushrooms now as almost like spiritual, like you're working with a spirit. You talk to the dose before you put it in your mouth. You say, today I would like to feel happy, blissful, energized, creative, motivated, and focused. And you say, thank you, I'm so grateful to have this opportunity. And boom, you put it in your mouth. and it takes you on your journey. And that's kind of how I viewed it. It was almost like I respected the mushroom. And I was appreciative that it was going to help me along my journey. And that's kind of how that's kind of my experience. It was an amazing experience. And Brittany, my mentor, we did phone calls. She would text me and check in with me. Amazing mentor. She helped me with any questions I had, recommendations for supplements to go along with my dosing that could just help me feel a bit more successful with my dosing. So she just kind of guides you along your way to having a good experience, especially if it's your first time. It's like having a trip sitter, except you're not tripping. No, you're not going to trip. No, you're not going to see shit. You're not going to have entities coming to you, but you will definitely feel slightly enlightened for sure. And I definitely think it changed me, for sure. In what way? I just feel a lot more open, a lot more flexible. I feel like I was able to release some anger. In like the first week of dosing, I definitely felt a little bit of irritation and anger, and I had some headaches, and I feel like whatever was inside of me, I've done a lot of healing prior to this. And I didn't necessarily do this for healing, but I do think it helped me heal a lot of my internal resentments and anger that I had kind of sitting in there, kind of like little crumbs of resentment and anger within me. I do think it helped me release that. So on top of that, if you're going through some sort of emotional disruption, a breakup, or you're still healing from trauma, I think microdosing can help you in that sense too. And even if you just want to do the month and you don't want to continue with microdosing, I do think it can help you release the trauma and help you heal. So microdosing is fantastic for any of this stuff. Not just for focus, not just for creativity, but also releasing some pent-up trauma within you. So ultimately, everybody has a different experience with microdosing. Now, like I said, I'm a small woman who's incredibly sensitive to drugs. So if you're nervous about trying it, or you're interested, or you're curious, just know that a woman who kind of doesn't react well to drugs tried this, and she enjoyed it very much, and it wasn't scary. I never really had any horrible experiences with it. Like I said, even the one time I kind of felt high after eating right away after the dose, it wasn't anything terrible. It wasn't anything scary. I didn't start tripping or hallucinating or anything like that. I think it was just, I looked it up on ChatGPT, and it was like, when you do psilocybin, whether it's a microdose or not, you just notice the things going on in your body a little bit more. So it was just like a shift between digesting and not digesting. And I just noticed the change, and that was the reason why it felt like that. So am I going to continue with dosing? Is this something that I think is going to enhance my life and enhance my YouTube channel? The answer is yes. I'm going to continue dosing. I'm going to order another dose. Now, my mentor mentioned to me that you don't have to do it every day. I think I'm going to do maybe 3 days a week, maybe every other day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or maybe 3 days in a row, and then the rest off. I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm going to see what works for me. But yeah, it's not something you have to do every day, unless you want to. There's some people who do 5 days on, 2 days off. But you don't have to. This is customized for you. You can do it however you want. This is not like Adderall, where it's like you need to take it every day or whatever. People don't even take Adderall every day. So whenever it's needed, you can take it. I do think I want to go up in my milligrams, so 150 milligrams. as opposed to 100 milligrams. I think someone said, there's a guy on YouTube, I forget his YouTube name, but he recommends that 200 milligrams is the perfect dose for creativity and focus. Now, like I said, I'm very sensitive to drugs, so I'm just going to stick to 150, and then maybe I'll go up again the next time I order it. We'll see. But I definitely want to try the 150 and just see where my sweet spot is. If I could guess, I honestly think the 150 is going to work for me because I'm super small and like, come on guys, I'm like the size of a child, so and for some reason I'm just way more sensitive to drugs. Like, my brain is just always on high alert anytime I fucking put drugs inside of me, so I was surprised that this didn't make me feel that way. And yeah, once I got used to it, there were no side effects. No side effects. It didn't affect my appetite. It didn't affect my emotions or my decision making. It didn't affect driving. Seriously, it's just like being on an SSRI or being on Adderall or something, where it will shift your mindset and your perspective, but it won't impair you. So it's definitely functional. And that's what I love about it. And the fact that it's natural. I love that it's natural. I love that I'm not putting pharmaceutical drugs inside of me every day. That really excites me about it, is that it is natural. Now, I'm not saying there aren't things out there that are bad and poisonous that are natural, but this is not bad for you. This is good for you, and it helps me. And yeah, obviously this isn't legal in the USA, but there's ways you can find it. There's definitely ways you can find it. And hit up Brittany. She'll let you know how to obtain it in the USA. If you're interested in this, I can't recommend it. You know what? YouTube might not monetize this video, so fuck it. I've already, said too much. I think I've already crossed the line here. But yeah, take my experience, and you will probably have a similar one, honestly. Because a lot of people say this. I've honestly never heard anybody say that they had a bad experience with it in my research. You also don't need to have a mentor. You can do this totally on your own. Nobody's forcing you to have a mentor. I had a mentor because I was nervous and I wanted guidance in case I had any questions or I was freaking out or something or I was doing it wrong. I just wanted to make sure that I had guidance just in case. And it was great. So check out Rooted again. Link is down below. Ultimately, do I think you need a drug to help you enjoy life? No, I don't. I think, first of all, if this were the only dose that existed, 100 milligrams, I'd be perfectly fine with it. If this didn't exist at all, I'd be perfectly fine sober as well. The reason I would just drink a lot of energy drinks. That was another thing, is energy drinks kind of also uplift you, but they're not good for you. So I wanted something that just wasn't horrible for me to consume, that wasn't gonna fucking destroy me in the future. So this is kind of that. So in order to just focus and push through work that maybe I just don't want to do, I would be drinking energy drinks and those are not good, so this is way better than drinking an energy drink. So that's kind of why, but otherwise, yeah, I'd be perfectly fine sober. This is not about oh, you can't be sober, you have to be on something. No, don't think about it like that. I just want to be a super soldier when it comes to working. That's kind of what I wanted to do. But you definitely don't have to. I'm also just really glad I don't have to be maybe I should try Adderall. I don't need Adderall anymore. I don't need any type of ADD medicine from a pharmacy, and that really excites me. That just really fucking excites me that I don't ever have to do those things again. If I want to be a super soldier when it comes to head down, locking in, and working, I don't need Adderall. So, just saying. Anyway, my equipment is dying because it's so fucking cold out here. If you like this kind of content, please feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I am brand new here. Make sure to check out my other videos on self-improvement or critical thinking. And yeah, until next time, I will see you in the next video. Make sure you comment down below if you've had this experience or if you're interested in trying it. Would love to know your experience. And then I'll see you in the next video.